as the wheels turn beneath you, chasing future to your past, doubling your vision, falling tears on broken glass. I look out of the window, mirror on my fears, biting light shows no respite until the blue of night is near.
Hello, and welcome to the third episode of the Jenni Makes Podcast, a podcast primarily about knitting, but with a good sprinkling of other crafts along the way. Today is actually pretty 50-50 with knitting and crochet, no other crafts sneaking in from what I can remember, which is funny because I always think of myself primarily as a knitter, but yeah, there's actually been quite a lot of crochet over the last couple of months. I think I talked about it in my previous episode that quite often I might not have loads to share and that there'll be lots of fluctuations sort of from podcast to podcast. Last episode, I don't know what happened, but I managed to get loads of things finished and had loads to talk about. This time I've sort of delayed recording for a week or so. I think I've just been quite busy and not really feeling like I'm making a lot of progress on projects, which has been a little bit frustrating, but I'm sure I'm not alone in feeling like there's ebbs and flows in your enthusiasm to work on things. So yeah, I'm trying not to dwell on the negatives too much. So first things first, I'm going to talk about my first finished object, which is this jumper. I showed it last episode. I think it was like not too far off being finished. I can't remember. Maybe I was halfway through the second sleeve. Anyway, it's done. I'm really happy with it. I made the mistake of putting it on and starting to wear it before I'd sewn in the ends, and as a result I keep on finding little sneaky ends that I've not woven in, but we'll just ignore those because I've been wearing it for probably about 3 weeks now and they've not been woven in so far. So the yarn I used for this is my Desert Island yarn. I love this yarn. It's Mondim by Retrosaria or Rosa Poma. I can never quite figure out which one I meant to say, but I'm sure everyone knows who I'm talking about. It's a Portuguese no nylon, non-superwash sock yarn, but it's great for garments and all sorts of things. I've got quite a few things made in it, and I absolutely love it. I think it's just the right level of rustic, but it doesn't really have much like itch factor for me. I can wear it next to my skin. The colours are really fun, and it's just a really nice weight. It is. I think it's classed as a 4-ply, but I think it's quite a heavy 4-ply. I think it's maybe 350 meters. Let me consult on my notes. Maybe I didn't write it actually. Where is it? No, I didn't write it. I think it's about 350-360 meters per 100 grams, but I just really like the weight. This is a self-drafted pattern, so I don't know why, I'm sure there are like a million ribbed stripy pullovers, but for whatever reason when I was looking I just couldn't settle on one that I liked that already existed, so I thought I'd just have a go at whipping one up by myself. So I think I briefly discussed the construction last time, but for anyone who didn't watch last episode, I started at the back neck and just kind of cast on sort of like the amount of stitches that you'd have like sat at the base of the collar, and then increased out. I don't even know if this is like me sitting sideways, probably isn't very helpful. Increased out until I'd got to sort of this length here. You can see like the increased line here, the way it like offsets the stripes, I think looks really cool. So increased to there and knitted down to here, so it's just like a flat piece at the back. I'm really having to recall now because it was a little while ago since I worked on this. Yeah, knitted it flat down to where I would have joined to the body, and then I went back to like this kind of increase line and picked up stitches. Did I pick up? I'm like, what did I do? Yeah, picked up stitches along it and knit the two fronts until they joined, and then join them together by like casting on stitches for this point here. Again, knit down flat, and then once I got to this point here, I joined in the round and knitted down. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I was a little bit worried that I'd done too many, not short rows because it was flat. So I don't think, no, not short rows, but I think like the shaping, I was worried that I'd kind of made it so that I'd created like too much fabric back here. I do not sit up straight. I have very rounded shoulders, which is partially a posture thing and also like a hereditary thing, which I think even with the best will in the world, I'm always gonna like sit slightly rounded forward like that. That's just how it is. So I've learned that I do need a lot more, like for jumpers to fit nicely, I like to have like more fabric or more short rows if it was done totally in the round, like a raglan, like above, like both above my back, and then for some I found that like having it sort of like, but like below as well, like after the sleeve join, just to create that bit of extra fabric, because otherwise I find that then the back is like shorter than the front and it like hangs off. It just, I don't know if that's making any sense, but yeah, I'm learning that that's a way that I like my jumpers to fit. But I was worried I'd actually done a little bit over the top, and that like when I was holding the jumper flat, the collar wasn't really sitting well, but actually now that it's on, it's fine. Yeah, I guess like that's the miracle of blocking, that it's sorted all out, so I'm happy with that. I seem to have a total inability to knit sleeves the correct length for my arms. I have quite long arms. I guess, I don't know, this is the episode where I talk about all the slight oddities about my body shape. Yeah, I've got quite long arms, but obviously I was not knitting to a pattern, so you'd think I could just make the sleeves so they fit me. And I was worried the sleeves were going to be too long, so I guess it was just like a gauge issue that when it blocked out, it got wider, and so it like got wider and then shorter. I don't know. Anyway, so the sleeve is like a bracelet length, which is practical, but I was thinking that it was going to be, I was thinking, oh my goodness, it's going to be so long that I'm going to have to roll the sleeves, but no, they're not. So, but like it's nice, it's a good length. It just means that like as it's getting colder now, like having this underneath a coat, then I've got like a little drafty bit, but I should just start wearing mittens. That would solve that problem. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, it's like a drop shoulder construction, and then it's a 2x2 rib, like broken rib. So I guess it is kind of a labour of love to do like a sport weight / 4-ply ribbed kind of oversized jumper. I don't know like if like standing up would help. I'm going to end up being like too close, but yeah, maybe that's too much, but like it does have like quite a bit of ease in it, which is how I like my jumpers to be. And it's like long enough so that if I wanted to like tuck it in front of like into my like jeans to do like a French tuck, and then I could do usually I don't, just look a bit more like a slob, just slob around with it not tucked in, which is fine. But yeah, I've got a lot of wear out of it. For a little bit I was like, oh, I'd love to make another one in like a plain colour. I've got a real thing about red jumpers. I just keep on knitting just jumpers and accessories in like different shades of reddish, red, brown, maroon. I think in the first episode I showed the yarn I bought to make the Flower Power pullover, which is also red. So I was like imagining it in like a beautiful like brick red or like a really vibrant orange, but it took a really long time, and I think the only reason why I got it finished like within the same year as starting it was because of the stripes, because just stripes make everything a bit more addictive, even though it was kind of a faff on doing it in the round. And like so like I carried I don't know if I can show you, but I like carried the yarn down on the inside and like always tried to get it to twist the same way. I don't know how much that's showing up. Yeah, you can see all my hands. Oopsies. But that was kind of a faff on a little bit, particularly as like the circumference got smaller, and yeah. But so yeah, I don't know. I love the idea of having another one. I wonder if it's tempting to maybe like modify my instructions, because I did keep quite good detailed notes, to maybe do like a DK one maybe that would knit up a bit quicker. But do I need another red jumper? Probably not. But yeah, like that's it. There it is. I might make another one. I really like the fit. It's so comfortable. I love the thick. It's like a folded neckband. Yeah, there's not really much more to say about it, other than I'm really glad that it's finished. And also, I don't know how it is in the rest of the world or the rest of the UK. I live in Newcastle in the northeast of the UK, well, northeast of England. And I think overnight it just became sort of autumn winter. I'm sure in my last episode I was sat recording in a t-shirt, and now I'm in a thermal, woolen socks and a woolly jumper, and I mean I'm quite warm, but it's like it feels like a good level of layers. So yeah, I'm happy to get things finished off and ready to wear for the wintry season as it arrives. But yeah, I think that's all I've got to say for this first finished object. Very happy with it. Love the yarn. Oh my goodness. I think a cat has been nibbling. I've just noticed. Oh! Oh dear. Right, well, I'm gonna have to stop wearing this and get it repaired. I have, so for anyone who doesn't know, I have two cats. One is very into yarn, and actually I suspect it is Moose, because this morning I finished a jumper for my partner about a month ago, and there's a few ends which I've not woven in, but it's fine, you can't really tell, like you can't really see them, but he'd left the jumper turned inside out, and so the yarn ends were showing, and I caught chewing on one of them, and now I need to sew in like very short ends. I bet that that's what she's done. It's like an end that I've not woven in properly, and she's like, haha. Oh, she's so naughty. Right, well, best take that off. I think the thing that stresses me out a little bit is that seeing like little nibble marks in yarn reminds me of when I've had a really unfortunate moth or carpet beetle issues. I'm not going to say infestations because I think that's a bit of a strong word, but yeah, I feel like every couple of years I have a bit of an issue with them, and it's usually when I've got complacent. Now I keep everything in plastic, stored away, and now I do like even more so because of the cats. But yeah, like seeing things like that, I'm like, oh god, I hope it's not. I hope it's a cat that's done that and not a moth. Well, great. I can also see that like where it's unravelled is like over. Of course, it's over like a decrease, so it's going to be like extra fun to try and fix that. Anyway, I kind of feel like I should take it off now, but I mean, it is quite a grippy yarn, so, and also who knows how long I've been walking around with it like that. Oh, she's so naughty. Anyway, on to the next finished object, which I like my finished objects are kind of a bit weird this week. Well, this one's like normal, appropriate. The next two are kind of like Halloween costume themed, so a little bit different. The weekend just gone, I was away in Edinburgh, seeing some friends, went to a Halloween party. I've not been to a party in years, let alone a fancy dress one, but I suspected that people would be making quite a bit of effort, so I ended up making my costume, which I've literally not done probably since I was a textile student, like 10 years ago. So this, the first thing I made was a skirt. So a year ago, my parents, for my birthday, bought me a sewing machine, and I managed to build up in my mind using the sewing machine to like be such a big, scary, stressful thing that I pretty much haven't used it for a year. I used it once when a friend came to stay who's really good with the sewing machine, and she helped me make a bucket hat, which was great fun, but I've not really used it since. I think because I can be a bit of a perfectionist, and I was a bit worried about like getting things wrong and ruining fabric. Anyway, I figured, okay, well, what better way to not be precious than sewing a really simple skirt out of pretty inexpensive fabric for a costume. Doesn't matter if you ruin it, doesn't matter if it doesn't really fit or look good, because it's literally, you're probably going to wear it for one night. And in my mind it feels better, like me sewing something that I'm only going to wear once than like buying something that seems a bit more wasteful, like doing that. Anyway, so I'll put a picture, well, I might put a picture up on screen. It's not, I didn't take very good pictures of it, and like, unfortunately, like over the night of the party, I don't think anyone took a picture of me. I meant to ask someone, but yeah, I totally forgot. So I think I've got a bad photo of me like twirling around the living room in like an odd top, like with the skirt on. It was Merchant & Mills pattern. I think it's called the Mathilde skirt, and it's essentially like two rectangles seamed together, hemmed, and then like sewn at the top so that there's a channel to put like a thick band of elastic in, and then it's like ruched together. I'll like maybe put a picture on screen depending on how cringy those pictures are, so you can see what it looked like. So I went as Snow White, so I had a yellow skirt, and then I crocheted a bodice piece. I did this in 2 days. I don't really know how I managed to do that, other than that I guess I was lucky that it worked out like first try, and I didn't really have to make too many modifications. So here it is. Maybe I put it on. I might put it on like over the top that I've got underneath. So bear with me so you can see what it probably looks like. 2 seconds. Okay, so this is the bodice that I crocheted. I used Wool and the Gang's, I always call it Shiny Happy Cotton, but it's not. It's like their denim version, like it's a recycled denim version, which I really like. I think I talked about it in my previous episode because I was using it to crochet like the little bunting triangles for my parents' wedding anniversary, which I showed, I think, last episode. So I used that. And basically I just sort of made it up as I went along. I'm going to try and like turn around, it's awkward. But so I started on one side, and then like it's worked like in that direction. So I started on one side and then worked around using like I guess it's like a crochet rib stitch. So it's a variation on a US single and UK double crochet, and basically the first row you do is like totally normal, and then all the other rows after that, to create this kind of like ribbed stretchy texture, you work only into the front loop of the stitch. So if you imagine when you're looking at like a top row of crochet, you've got like 2 legs almost, and you're only ever like, you're kind of going through and like only ever working like into the front loop, like as you're looking at it. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, it's just called like crochet rib stitch. So it's very easy, and it makes like a nice stretchy fabric. So I kind of just winged it. And I was also really worried about how much yarn I would have, and I had only like a minimal amount left. So it was a bit of a toss up between like, oh my god, am I going to make it too small? But actually, like, I think it fits quite well. Yeah, it's actually quite comfortable. I don't really wear stuff like this. I'm very much like an oversized jumper kind of gal. I think I actually talked previously about how I never make summer knits, but here we are, it's October and I've made like a crochet bodice. So yeah, worked from side to side and kind of like tried to do like a bit of a sloping, so like increased up the back, and then just like, yeah, did it like flat across. Like I think if you look at sort of like princess bodice shapes, like it was quite like straight. And yeah, then it was like a little scrap of like shiny happy cotton that I used to like lace it up. When I did like a single crochet round like all the way around the piece when it was finished, and then I did like eyelets like around down the back, so it could be laced up. And then I wasn't going to add, I mean, originally I wanted to add sleeves, because if you actually look at Snow White, she wears like blue, or like a blue bodice with like little cap sleeves which have like little red like flashes in them sleeves, like little, well, not flashes but like details, like kind of like, so I think it's almost like teardrop shapes, and it's quite like a puff sleeve. I'd wanted to do that, but I absolutely ran out of yarn and also totally did not have time, because I ended up crocheting these in the car on the way to Edinburgh. My boyfriend was driving, so I wasn't trying to drive and crochet at the same time, but yeah, I ended up doing it in the car and kind of just guessing the positioning of the straps, and then I ended up trying it on in the car, and it was just yeah, talk about like last minute finishing when you're literally driving to a party and you're still like weaving your ends in and sewing on straps. But I think it turned out quite nice. Like I actually really like the fit. I think the way I'd planned it originally is that the front, because I'd like shaped it in such a way that there should have been more of a defined area of where the front started and like the back piece ended, if that makes sense. And I think actually like the way it's pulled, I made like too much fabric on the front, because the way I'd done it is actually like the back shouldn't have met. There should have been like a 10cm gap, which is sort of me thinking, oh, I'm going to run out of yarn, so that's where I can save it. But because it does meet on the back, it's kind of pulled it in such a way. I guess I just wasn't really thinking about like negative ease and things. Yeah, so there's kind of some like funky things going on in the armpit where it's like not really how I wanted it to be, but I don't know, it feels kind of secure. I'm like, yeah, maybe I could rock this. I don't know. It's kind of hard to show, but it's got like I did like a pointed, it's like pointed at the front and then like curves up. So yeah, I don't know, it's like really not my vibe. But I kind of like it. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I might just end up unravelling it and using the yarn for something else, because I really like this yarn and I don't really want it to sit as a top that I'm never going to use. But I don't know, I might just like seam up the back, because I think like the red lacing like was perfect for the costume, but it makes it look like a bit more like costumey, slash like a little bit like saucy, which like isn't really, it's not really my vibe. So I might just like steam it up, or I might just unravel it and like make some coasters or something, because I've made a lot of coasters out of this yarn and I think they make really nice gifts. So that is the beauty of this yarn and like cotton yarns, I guess, is that you can just make something out of it and then unravel it, and like if it's of a decent quality then you can't really tell that it had another life as something else. So yeah, I think that's maybe everything to say about that. I am sad I didn't get like a proper picture of the costume. I did like horrible face makeup where I bought like quite a cheap white base layer, kind of like foundation, but it just never really dried on my face. So like as the night went on, it was like, I don't know, you could see where I'd like touched it, and it just, yeah, it didn't look great. I tried to go for almost like scary princess. So yeah, I like did like dark circles around my eyes and like yeah, just kind of like creepy eye makeup. But I don't know, I think it looked good. And it was fun. It was fun to go in a costume. Like I said, I've not done that in years. I don't know if I'm going to keep this on now for the rest of the episode. I kind of don't really want to put my jumper on again until I've fixed that hole, because I'm a bit worried that if I catch my thumb in it, then the nibbled stitch where it's dropped, it's currently only dropped like a couple of rounds, but I'm worried if I end up catching it, then it's going to end up like in my armpit and it's going to be far more irritating to try and fix, particularly in stripes. So yeah, I guess maybe I'll just sit in my bodice. Not words that I thought I would be saying in this episode. But yeah, I think that's everything to say. I enjoy making like structured things in crochet. I don't generally tend to make garments out of crochet. I like doing like little toys, like little amigurumi figures and things. But for this, I don't know, it was perfect and it was quick. I still can't really believe I did it in 2 days. But yeah, it's done and it worked, so happy days. On to my next finished object, which I was kind of on the fence about even showing because it's pretty ridiculous. It's very tiny. It's again like comes under the costume category, I suppose. So I made a witch's hat for my cats. They hate it. It's so cute. The cats are not with me today. It's a little bit cold in the flat. They've decided they would much prefer to be underneath our duvet than hanging out with me, which is fine. I've left the door open because, I don't know, I thought they might want to wander in, but so far we're 25 minutes in and they've not made an appearance. And they don't really love having the hat on anyway, so even if they were here, it would be unlikely I would manage to get them to wear it for more than like 1 second. But I got a few pictures when I first made it, so I'll put these in here. Phoebe is demonstrating some fantastic side-eye. But yeah, this I made this using some scraps of, this is the Mondim, like leftover Mondim from my stripy jumper, and then like a silk mohair from Gepard, I think it is. So basically what I did is I started at the top, made a cone by like gradually increasing. I did write it down somewhere. I think it's got it saved on my phone, but and then once the top of the hat was finished, I chained I chained these stitches and then crocheted back across the cone and then chained stitches to the other side and then like worked in like a ring so that there's gaps for their ears. It doesn't really sit flat. I don't know if it was kind of hard to figure out like whether I'd increase too many stitches or not enough, which sometimes I find that hard to figure out with crochet. It's also like I've not blocked it, so maybe it would like chill out a bit if it had been blocked. But I just thought I would show that just as an excuse to put up some pictures of my cats in hats. This will not be the last. They are going to get more knitted things. I don't know if I'm going to do Christmas jumpers this year. I would like to. I also think they would probably benefit from them because they don't have loads of fur. They're Cornish Rex cats, so they only have like the bottom downy layer, whereas like a lot of cats will have like 2 layers to their coat, so they've only got like the bottom one. And so I don't know if they feel the cold a bit more, and our flat is pretty cold. So maybe they might need Christmas jumpers. But we'll see, because it is quite a big undertaking, and if they hate the jumpers as much as they hate like the hats I've made for them so far, then it'd be kind of sad that I might end up spending like 20 plus hours on something that literally they wear for 1 second and then bite a hole into, which is what happened to like the first hat that I made for Moose. Not a witch's hat, it was just a general hat. So we'll see. But yeah, I just thought I would show this off, seeing as, fingers crossed, if I get this episode out in good time, it will be out on Halloween, I think. I had real problems uploading my episode last time. I've never quite got to the bottom of what the issue was, but I think it may be related to my iPad not having enough storage to upload, but I don't know, I ended up having to upload it to YouTube in a really convoluted way where I had to upload it to Google Drive and then download it to my laptop and then upload it to YouTube from my laptop. Like, which was fine, but just a bit frustrating because the whole reason, well, not the whole reason, but part of the reason I'd got this iPad was just so I could do everything on the iPad, just talk to the iPad, edit the footage in iMovie and just put it on YouTube, because I wanted to make it as like clunky and stress-free as possible so that I didn't have reasons to like procrastinate and not do things, not because I didn't want to record the podcast, but because it was like the admin or like logistics around it. And then actually it ended up being the opposite last episode, because it was such a pain to do. Anyway, hopefully this time it'll be easier, even if it's just that I know what the solution is, because I think the problem last time was I spent like almost the whole weekend like trying to upload it. Oh, it didn't work. Maybe if I leave it for longer, maybe if I leave it overnight, and it just was very frustrating. Like, I'm not very good with technology, and when stuff doesn't work and it's not a quick fix and like Googling the problem doesn't really come up with any solutions, then it's just a bit like, okay, well, will I just never upload a podcast again, like a one and done kind of thing? But no, we got there in the end. So fingers crossed this will be out on Halloween, and it'll be very appropriate for the little mini cat hat. So that is it for my finished objects. I might change out of this one because I feel like it's like doing weird things. Yeah, so give me 2 seconds, I'm just gonna change. Okay, so I'm back. Very carefully put this one on. Oh yeah, that's definitely gonna have to be a priority to get all those ends sewn in so that little naughty nibblers are not chewing off the yarn ends and causing catastrophes. So I've kind of just been working on one project at the moment. I'm just turning to my notes page so I can remember the things I need to say about it. Yeah, I feel like I don't know, I've like been dipping in and out, I guess, like the smaller crochet projects, but I just don't really feel like I've made loads of headway like over the last month. But anyway, the project that is getting the most attention, or really any attention, I picked up my sock that I'm knitting for Jack, which I think I showed in my first episode, but actually didn't do anything to it. I just took it away with me for the weekend and then didn't knit a single stitch. So this is what has been getting my attention. So this is the Bonnie cardigan by Orlanne Sucche. I think she's French. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it. I think her designer name is Tete Beche. She has loads of beautiful designs. I've knitted one of her jumpers before. Yeah, that is right. Yeah, I have. And yeah, she's just very like classic pieces with like thoughtful little details, which I appreciate. Anyway, so what do I want to say about this? If I'm being honest, I'm not really enjoying working on this, which is sad. So I guess I'll start off by saying the yarn I'm using. So I'm holding two yarns together. This one is a yarn called Athena, produced by a company called Shear, and what is it? It's Teeswater, Gotland and BFL. So lovely, rustic, really nice. And then this one is for Black Eye Yarns. It's their Auchen yarn. Again, both of these are undyed, and I've had them sitting in stash for a little while, particularly this one. This has been in my stash since like 2019. This has just been in stash for a year. But I was kind of thinking, like, I've got these 2 grey sweater quantities. I really don't need 2 sweaters. And they're very similar. Well, like holding them up, they don't look that similar. You can see that this one's a lot more creamy and this one's a lot cooler, but like holding them together, like they blend together really nicely in the fabric, and I think, yeah, I really like the kind of grey shade that it's making. So I was like, I'll hold them together, I'll do a thicker jumper that'll keep me warm, and that way I won't have to think about what I'm going to do with 2 very, very similar sweater quantities. And this is also me learning about, like, I have this real thing that I just gravitate towards, like, grey undyed sweater quantities, and like, but I don't need 5 grey jumpers in my wardrobe. I don't need that. So that's a lesson to me, to try and not spontaneously buy these things at knitting shows, which I tend to do. So I was like, okay, we'll hold them together. I knew that like holding these 2 yarns together would make like a slightly thicker yarn than the specified yarn. I think the specified yarn is maybe like a heavy DK. So I knew it'd be a bit thicker, but I thought it's fine. I can like modify things, maybe use a different sizing, change my needle size, etc. I thought it'd be fine. So this is where the issues begin. I'm going to preface this this segment by saying that I'm like absolutely not blaming anyone, and I feel like I need to like launch in and say like, but it's been resolved, and this is like it's just like an unfortunate thing that's happened, and it's been resolved, but it has like kind of complicated this project a little bit for me, and like maybe taken away some of the enjoyment from it. Basically, this yarn, when I bought it, was on the tag, it was marked as being approximately 410 grams, which equated to 410 meters. And I think when I kind of worked out what that would be per 100 grams, I think that worked out at maybe 370, 360. And this one is also, let me see, this one is 350. So yeah, thought they would be like pretty similar. I think, so yeah, anyway, I'm like rambling. So yeah, this was what this was marked as. So I started knitting. Already when I'd done my swatch, I was like, God, this feels really thick, the fabric, but I wanted something that was quite like substantial, maybe like a bit more of sort of jacket type, like the style of cardigan, it's sort of like quite a bomber style of cardigan, and I was like, it's fine, I'll make it more of a jacket. I want something thick, I want something warm. In my head, these were 2 4-plies, but obviously they're not. What they're labelled as is more like 2 sports. So already it was sort of thicker than the specified yarn in the pattern. I went up half a needle size, I washed my swatch, and I was like, yeah, grand, great, good to go. It's a bit thicker, but that's fine. So I was knitting with it, and I was like, this fabric feels really quite thick. I'm used to working with like 4-ply and sport, and my hands were feeling quite like tired working with it, so I ended up using a 5.5mm needle. These 2 yarns held together, which I think, like thinking of it as like a heavy GK, like that is an appropriate needle size. So yeah, I used a 5.5, which is 0.5mm bigger than what was stated in the pattern, but that's quite common for me. I knit quite tight, so yeah, going up like normal. Anyway, I was expecting this yarn, which was labelled as 350 meters per 100 grams, to run out a lot quicker than this yarn, which was labelled 410 meters per 410 grams. But I was knitting, and I maybe got to like, I think I'd just finished the yoke, or I was just about to finish the yoke, and the yarn that was labelled as being like 50 meters longer ran out, and I still had like 20 grams of this one of the first game. And I was like, ew. Ew. And I like double checked the labels, and I couldn't really figure out what happened. So I bought this yarn from Julie, who owns Black Isle Yarns, and like I remember having like a lovely chat with her at I think it was the Glasgow Yarn Festival. I can't remember what exactly it was called, but it was in Glasgow like pretty much this time last year, and I knew that like it's like a small business, like a woman-owned business, like she naturally dyes her yarns. I actually bought like an undyed shade because I thought the undyed shade was so beautiful. And I didn't want to send an email that could be like misconstrued as like a like arsey email, for the want of a better word, I guess. I really didn't want to come across as like confrontational. So I like went back and forth, and I was like, well, there's definitely something up with this, like these yarn lengths, because well, one of them is wrong, and this one I was like, maybe it is thicker and therefore shorter, like shorter meterage. So I didn't know what to do, and in the end I emailed Julie and sort of like gave the information of like what I'd knitted so far, like holding it together with another yarn, like slightly baffled, wasn't sure if I'd made an error. And it was more just like for her information, because I was sort of thinking, well, if there is an error, then I'm sure like she'd probably want to know about it. Anyway, so she sent an email back to me and was really apologetic. Basically, there'd been an error I think maybe an error in communication between her and the mill. I can't exactly remember now, where basically the meterage of this yarn, I've written it down, is actually 260 meters per 100 grams, not 410. So it's quite different. she was really apologetic. She had actually done loads of posts on social media about it. I think she'd sent out like emails to people she had contact details of. She'd sent out a newsletter. But I think for whatever reason I'd missed all of those things. I think maybe I didn't. No, I do follow her on Instagram, so I don't know. I guess I missed all of these things. I wasn't signed up to a newsletter. So she'd sent one out like telling all of her customers, and she had like a plan for how people could be either like reimbursed if that's what they wanted, or sent more yarn, or like they could return the yarn. So like she was like totally transparent, had like a really good system for like I guess compensating people if they were like disappointed that there was less yarn than maybe they thought there had been, at least in terms of meters. I really feel for Julie, because what pain and what stress, and yeah. So anyway, she really kindly sent me out another skein and a half of yarn, which should be enough to finish the cardigan. So that issue was resolved, and like I couldn't be happier. And yeah, I just basically feel really bad for Julie, because that's a real hit to her business, and she was kind of talking about the impact it had on, like, I think she had some like design collaborations going on where they'd used, I think maybe there'd been like an initial batch that had been the 410 meters, and then there was a subsequent batch. I'm not exactly sure, don't quote me on it, but it's all like correctly marked now. And I think a lot of people had got it sorted. It was just me, I don't know, living in like a social media black hole. I'd missed it. Anyway, my issue now is that as I was knitting it, I was feeling like the fabric was too dense. I was also in between sizes, and I cast on the bigger size. And now I'm worried that I'm going to end up with a cardigan that's too big and too boxy, and that's not going to drape. I don't know. I'll slip it on. I should have like slipped it on before I put my jumper back on. But let's see. I don't know if you'll be able to really see. So yeah, I was in between sizes. I've ended up casting on the third size. I think just with like the specified ease in the pattern, I could have cast on the second, but it wouldn't have given me quite as much ease. And then by casting on the third, because I am actually on gauge, that would have given me the right amount of ease. Anyway, so I'm just worried that it's going to be too big. Like where the collar's going to sit, because obviously like I'm going to have a button band, so it's going to sit like this, and I'm worried it's going to be like not slipping off my shoulders, but like the pattern, it has like a really nice like sloping like bomber collar, and I'm just thinking like seeing where it sits now, and then particularly like after I block it, like is it going to be really wide, which isn't really the look I wanted. So I've kind of knit quite a bit. I've still got quite a bit of the body to go. Maybe, I don't know, I've not really like measured it or figured out how long I want to do it. So basically I don't know what to do. I can't tell if I'm just like blindly knitting on it and actually it's like not going to work out. And then also I've kind of like not really been enjoying working on it because it's like hurting my hands a little bit, and I'm worried that the fabric is too dense. Because now like the fact that I've only gone up half a needle size when I'm already a tight knitter, and then like thinking about the weight of yarn that my two essentially like now DK and Sport held together when the original pattern was just DK. So I've told myself, rightly or wrongly, that I'm going to finish the body, put the button bands and the collar on, wash and block it, and see what it looks like. But even as I'm holding it like this, I think it's going to be too big. And I think because the fabric's so thick, I don't know if it's, like I like things that are oversized, but it's maybe not going to like fall in a nice way. If it's like quite rigid, like am I going to end up with it being kind of like bunchy and like hanging off me in a bit of a weird way, and then like the collar might only like go to here, but I don't know. I don't know what to do, because the yarns are beautiful, and I feel like the kind of whole point of this, like making this project, was sort of resolving my dilemma of having these two beautiful yarns sat in my stash that I wasn't using, and now I've knitted in something and I still don't know if I've got it right. Knitting is very humbling. Like, I have been a knitter, I guess like a knitter with like a capital K, for 10 years, and still something so basic as, do I have the right gauge, and am I knitting the right size? Even after 10 years, I'm still not getting it right. I think it's too big. I think it's going to be too big. And I don't know if I cut my losses now. I don't know. Because I still probably want to knit like another 10 centimetres on the body, and then like knitting the whole button band. Because Julie from Black Eye Yarns really kindly sent me an extra skein and a half. I mean, actually now I could probably just knit only using the Black Eye Yarns. I probably have to adjust my gauge a little bit and maybe knit. I mean, I'd probably end up knitting the same size, just on a smaller needle, and then it would be my size, like maybe with slightly less ease. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. I don't know if the reason I'm not enjoying it is because I've got this nagging feeling that it's not gonna quite work out, and I don't know whether to just push through that or not. It's also going to be such a pain to unravel if I end up unraveling it with the mind of like separating the yarns. Yeah. So that's my current work in progress. The only thing, not the only thing, it's a beautiful yarn, and like it is nice to work on, and I think it's just a bit complicated. I have complicated feelings about it, but one of the things that is very uncomplicated about working on this project that is bringing me a lot of joy is this little progress keeper. So I don't really use progress keepers, but I can't even remember who it was. Maybe it was the Wool and Twine podcast. I think she'd maybe done a collab with this ceramicist. I think it's called Under the Willow Pottery, and she's like based in the UK and like makes little like ceramic things. So there's my little chicken, and the chicken is cheering me on to continue working on this project, which may or may not be doomed. So yeah, the chicken's making me happy. Everything else is making me doubt whether this is going to work out. So yeah, let me know. Let me know in the comments section, do you think I should carry on with it? Do you think I should cut my losses? Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know at this point. And I'm scared it's going to just be put in a bag and I'm going to forget about it, which is the exact thing I wanted to avoid by getting these two yarns out of my stash and like into something I can wear. Yeah, so that is everything for this episode. I thought it would be quite a short episode, but it's 50 minutes, so I guess I got chatty. Thank you very much for spending another episode with me. As I said last time, it's like so lovely to see your comments and like hear what you're working on. I'm sorry my cats did not make an appearance today. I feel like they definitely brighten up an episode, but they must just be still sneezing next door. But I think I'll sign off here and say happy knitting. I hope you're enjoying the change of season, and that whatever you're making is bringing you joy. So take care and catch up with you soon. Bye!